The party
Guy
was lame to me.
Fieri.
Fieri.
This is the fun.
Yeah.
So they're trying to track him down. Mora's at the party.
I just want to say, you are never allowed to pick the freaking theme for anything again. Okay. Albuquerque, fire truck. We're just yelling out words now? What's going on here? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BS Drunk Movie Reviews. This is a weekly podcast, and we do upload the video version of this to our YouTube channel, so be sure to check us out there. As you can see, I'm here being joined by my co-host, Vetta. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, and my name is Matt. I forgot to say that.
Yeah,
I'm drinking. And on this episode, we have a special guest, the Fat Mantis. How you doing, Mantis?
I am living the dream, my friend. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. And we have a fun movie tonight. We are going to be reviewing the movie Kraven the Hunter from Sony, which I'm not going to lie, I personally loved this movie.
Wait, did you love it?
Because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But
disclaimer: sit down, get a double of whatever you're drinking, because this is a bumpy ride.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we're going to ask the most important question of the night, and that is, what are you drinking? And Mantis, we'll start with you, buddy.
So I'm a Chardonnay little, can I say bitch on this podcast?
Yeah.
I'm a Chardonnay bitch. So I've got 2 bottles of Chardonnay. I'm 1 glass
Matt's
in.
a total wine whore, so he gets it.
I am. Yeah. Love it.
Okay.
Betta, what are you drinking?
So I have 2 drinks. I have a Kraven.
Oh, yeah.
Which is whiskey.
I almost made that.
Yeah, it's whiskey, banana whiskey, and lime juice. It only makes about a half of a glass worth. I just put a shit ton of ice in it to make it look fuller, because I don't normally drink anything with bananas in it. So I was like, I'm not making a double just in case this thing's nasty, but it's not too bad. And I have a backup of a twisted tea because they're just always yummy.
Yeah, why not?
What
All right,
about you?
so I'm just having a vodka martini. But I used lemon vodka on this one instead because I was like, why not? And then for a backup, I have some White Claws. You know me.
Of course you do.
Here you go, White Claw.
Right on. Hey, listen, you drink 15 of these and you'll be feeling some stuff. Okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Get a Monaco. There's 2 shots in every.
Listen,
Monaco.
I should get some Monacos, but these come in a whole box, Vetta. Well, my liquor store doesn't have the box. It just has them individually. I would buy them in a box, though.
Yeah, that gets pricey real quick.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, real quick.
So I'm not gonna lie. Very often, I will just have extra White Claws just sitting at the bottom of my fridge. Like there'll be like a box just sitting there, just in case I run out of anything.
Exactly. That's what you do. Yeah. I do a pregame with these, and then I'm all like, all right, let's get the good stuff going. Yeah, okay.
That's the twisted.
Wait, but real quick, just so I know, do you guys normally? I noticed you did that clever Kraven thing, Vetta. Do you normally make cocktails that are connected to the movies we're talking about?
Yes.
That's so clever.
Yeah. So I almost made that drink better that you made, but I was like, I'm not going to hunt down banana whiskey. I don't. Nobody's got time for that. I have 2 kids.
And I bought the smallest bottle they had, and I'm sitting there looking at it, going, when am I ever going to use this again?
Right.
So I've already decided I'm going to try to figure out something I can make like in a pitcher, so that way the next time I have people over, I can use it.
Yeah, ask Grok. Grok knows everything. Okay. All right. So Kraven the Hunter, right? Kraven's complex relationship with his ruthless father starts him down a path of vengeance, motivating him to become not only the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of its most feared. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so now, Mantis, you picked this movie. I wanted to ask you first off, why you picked this movie.
Okay, so normally, because it has the stigma of being a Marvel Sony production, and those movies people normally just are biased against, I would never watch it. And you invited me on the show. You're like, pick your movie. And the other day, a YouTuber that we both watch all the time, Grace Randolph, actually said she enjoyed this film.
Right on.
And so my curiosity was sparked. I was like, what it is? Here's what it is. Anything that has the Sony Marvel label on it, people automatically hate on. They just assume is bad,
and
that's not a very intelligent way to review movies, right?
Right.
And so I was like, let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm glad that you picked it. Before we also get into the movie, I just wanted to overall just get your overall thoughts on the movie. Like, did you like it or not like it? Mantis, we'll start with you since you're the guest.
So I like it in the way that we like B movies, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Like for instance, there's a lot of cool questions. The movie like creates so many questions that I'm like, this didn't make sense to me, and I hope you guys can clear stuff up for me, because
maybe we'll see.
In general, I feel like the movie started strong and the action was good, but we'll get into details later. But ultimately, I'm gonna say I like it if you don't take it too seriously.
Okay, Vetta, what about you?
I like it in the fact that it's different, but if you, like you said, it has that Marvel, Sony. And I don't even care about the Sony part. I get pissed off about the Marvel part because I have not seen a Marvel. This is the first Marvel movie I've seen since Black Widow, because Marvel has gone so far off the rails in the let's just money grab whatever we can from Marvel fans that the people don't even read comic books before making a movie anymore. And I'm a Marvel girl. Like, I am one of those people that I would fight DC people tooth and nail. And now I can't. I'm like, yeah, if you're talking movies, DC's kicking Marvel's butt, because Marvel just puts anything out for the sake of getting the money from their fans. And it pisses me off. So I go remove the Marvel name and I go, it's all right. It was fun. It had some great action in it.
Right on.
So.
Well, I loved this movie. I loved it. It was so ridiculous. I just loved it. It like there's sometimes I was just like what? I was like, what is going on here? Like there was we're obviously gonna get into it, but there was one scene I was just like, what is happening here? I was just like, oh, okay, I'm here for the ride. So all right, let's get into this movie. Okay, so we start off with Sergey and his half brother Dmitry. Or Demo. What does he call him? Demo or Demi? Demo. What a dumb name. Okay. Anyways, so they get picked up. These Russians. Anyways. And so they get picked up from their boarding school, right? And everything. And they get in this limo with their dad, okay? Who is played by Russell Crowe, right?
Oh, wait. Before you're skipping the scene. It actually starts with him in prison as an adult.
Oh yeah, that's right. It does start with him as in prison. Sorry, we were gonna get to that. Okay, so it starts out. He goes to a prison in like friggin', the middle of nowhere, Russia, where it's snowing like a motherfucker. I'll tell you right now. Well, I love the guy that's all like, "If you run, you'll never make it, or you will only make it 500 feet." And I'm all like, 5 feet? I'd make it 5 feet before I posted it. I was like, that looks like my worst nightmare. So
right, you would have stepped outside and been like, mistakes were made. Can I come back?
Yeah, I have regrets. So he gets taken to this prison and he gets into a cell with freaking Lurch. Oh my god, that guy alone. But I was like,
I want to know how he got there.
Well, the whole time I'm just like, is Lurch gonna make him fuck him? Like, what's going on here with this?
Right. There was some implied, prison movie stuff about.
Yeah, exactly. So but he's like, I'm only gonna last 3, because he's like, the last guy only lasted 1 week, and he's like, I'm only gonna last 3 days. He's like, oh, and everything. So he eventually gets taken to the office of a prisoner, which I'm all like, this prisoner had an office. I'm like, what's going on here?
I kind of got the impression that he really wasn't a prisoner. He was more there to keep him safe than he was for some crime.
Oh, maybe you're right. I think
that it's one of those things where crime bosses, when they go to prison, they can still run their organization. They're so powerful. They have all the guards bribed, and they get special treatment, and they get to a special office, and
his cell was open. He had he had his seconds and thirds or whatever at the door. The guard just delivered the guy and then walked away. So I kind of put he's there, but he's not leaving, and
he's really running the show.
Right.
And,
yeah. I didn't get that he was there because he committed a crime.
Who was it? El Chapo? I think it was El Chapo, the drug lord, that he said that like he got more bitches in prison than he did outside because the guards would bring him, smuggle women in for him and stuff. So
yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, so he ends up killing this boss because this boss has he has guns all over the world that kill so many people. He's like your guns kill more people than whatever, I can't remember, than cars do or some crap like that. I can't remember. And then he kills him and his little with a tiger's tooth that he snatches out from the rug or whatnot. And then he starts hardcore parkour all over this prison. Like he was, which I watched this with my wife, and she's like, "That's some pretty heavy duty parkour." And I'm like, "Yeah, because that just defies gravity right there." He Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, some of that shit. I was all like, "Look at that with the flying and the magic."
I will say this opening scene is very strong. Like the action was cool.
I agree.
The fact that he's like vigilante justice, and then the entire prison break scene was great.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah,
and I love how
it's a tone for this movie that unfortunately they don't keep.
Oh, see, I think they do keep it because the whole time I was just like, "Oh, look at that." Okay, so and then I love how he's just running through this desert of snow, and then I was like 500 feet. This motherfucker is running all the way to Moscow right now. So and then he gets on this plane.
Oh wait, before he gets on the plane, I gotta point something out. Which this was when the movie starts, in my opinion, takes like this kind of cheesy way. He stops and he sees a Arctic wolf.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
Arctic
wolf is like being aggressive, and he like looks at him, and he like aims him with his eye.
With his eye, that is true. That is true. I forgot about that.
He's like, "I'm the alpha bitch."
Yeah, and then the wolf's like, "I'm your friend. I'm cool, bro." I'm cool.
He's like, "Hey, Balto, how you doing, buddy?" and everything. So then he gets on this plane, and this plane flies into this like snowstorm or whatever. And the whole time I'm all like, I don't know if this plane could survive this snowstorm, but you know what? I'm here for it.
You know what that looks like? Do you guys remember the scene in The Mummy with the sandstorm chasing them?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, but with snow.
We just needed
it looks like an impossible storm that you see on other planets. Like if you're watching astrophysics documentaries, and like these giant storms that were like a wall of death, basically.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So then okay, so he's flying off, and I love how the pilot in this movie, we don't see her face, we don't know who she is. She's just like he's like, you're late or something like that, and she's like, did you finish the job? He's like, how'd the job go? And he's like, good for me, bad for them. And I'm all like, okay. I'm like, you know what? She's making her money. That's all she needs to know. And then they land in America.
Well, I would say the thing that I thought was weird is I assumed we were looking at a sidekick right there. Like I assumed
exactly
it was going to be a reoccurring, and then I don't think we saw her again.
Yeah.
No, we see her again. She picks him up.
Yeah, that's right.
The chick. What's her face?
Calypso.
She picks her up and delivers her to Russia.
Yeah.
And that's the only time.
But I thought she was going to be a bigger part of the movie.
I did too.
We were going to find out who this chick is and what the relationship.
Yeah, because she says, "I'll see you next time" when she drops him off. So I thought like she's his air Uber, you know.
That's exactly what she is.
If they were establishing a relationship on camera, and they were like, "Oh, this should be fun."
I love how you called Calypso Calypto. That was great. I'm gonna call her that from now on. Okay. So then we get this call from his brother, Dimitri, and he's all like, and he's pretending to be Russell Crowe because he can change his voice. He's the chameleon and everything. And he's like, I forgive you for I hope you can forgive me for everything I have done, son, and everything. He's like, just gotcha, bro. It's my birthday. You know what that means. Birthday week, come into town. And so he's all like, so he picks up his crap and he flies to, wherever he goes to. Okay, so then we get this flashback, right? Okay, so Dimitri and Sergei, they are in boarding school, and they get picked up by their father in a limo and everything. And they get in the limo, and the dad's just like, your mother's dead. Get over it. And I'm all like, man, you are so harsh.
Minded or sick-minded.
Yeah, you know those weak bitches. They can't handle life. So,
Right, he kept saying he kept repeating she's weak. Weak people don't get funerals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure she's weak because you're a dick
Yeah,
and you
weak,
cheated on her and are making her raise this kid. And
weak
I'm pretty sure you
motherfuckers
did this.
don't get into heaven.
And so here's the thing: I'm not woke. I don't like. I'm not into woke stuff at all. But I will say it is weird that they made this movie nowadays, because wouldn't that be considered insensitive to Russians? There's such a stereotype that Russians are super strong and they abuse their women, right?
Yeah. Abusers. Okay, so he picks him up and everything, and he takes him on this safari hunt and everything, and they're gonna hunt this giant lion now, but among other things. And
Tsar.
I don't what
The lion's name is Tsar.
yeah, oh yeah, they gave it a name. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So now while they're hunting, off in the distance, Crypto and her grandmother are sitting in this like really nice lush tent and everything. And the grandmother's all like, we have this special elixir that has been passed down from generation of women, and it can bring people back to life. Meanwhile, I just think it looks like slime in a little jar.
This is one of the few like correlations with the comic book on how Kraven gets his power. He does get it from an African witch doctor.
Well, look at
in the comic book.
Right. However, I would say I feel like there should be more explanation than just a witch doctor gave it to Calypso. You know what I mean?
Well, he doesn't even gives it. It's not even a witch doctor in this. It's her grandma.
Well, I mean, she could be. You know how everyone's grandma from
and
the
it's
Caribbean
been in their family for years.
Yes.
But the thing is that I would like more explanation as to what this elixir is, and
exactly.
You know, she was like, "You'll know when to use it." And she ends up using it on him. And I'm like, "How did you know that was a time? Is he the chosen one?"
I think she's used it on herself too.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting thought, because later on, what happens? Yeah.
So then and I love how she's like reading tarot cards and everything. She's like, "Oh, you picked up my tarot cards and everything." And she's all like, and she picks up the one that has a lion in it with a dude behind it. I was like, "Oh, get the fuck out of here with this nonsense." So okay, so then they're on this little safari hunt, right? And Dmitri and Sergei, they end up coming across the Tsar, right? And
but let me say, the Tsar looks like the most messed up lion that you could ever.
The Tsar, he has seen some shit for sure.
And he's just like the monster of lions. Like, you normally don't want to meet a lion. You definitely don't want to meet Tsar.
Right.
Their guy says he's killed allegedly 2,000 to 3,000 men. I'm like,
I want to see that movie.
Right?
But before this, I had seen Mufasa. So when Tsar showed up, the whole time I was just saying, "I am the last thing you're gonna see," and then you'll go bye. I just kept singing that throughout this entire part because that's like my favorite song from that movie.
It's funny when you said he's killed 2,000 to 3,000 men. I'm thinking of, you know how online right now they're talking about a gorilla versus 100 men, and people are creating reenactments.
Yes.
There should be a reenactment of the 3,000 men who tried to fight.
Right?
Yes, exactly. That'd be good. I would watch that. Okay. So then while they're standing there, right? Sergei, he's looking dead at the lion, right? And he's not firing. He's just all like, "Hey, we're buds." And the lion's like chilling out and everything, kind of like the wolf, but he doesn't have powers at this point. And then his dad shoots him. I'm like, "Oh, daddy, you fucked it all up. He was doing just fine and everything, and then you had to go and shoot him because you're strong and everything." So then he attacks.
To be a legend.
Exactly, yeah. Because when you kill the legend, you become the legend. And so the dad keeps shooting him, but Sergei is just becoming mincemeat at this point in time. He's got into his shoulder. He's all screaming like a bitch and everything.
So real quick, I do want to kind of defend the dad in this part. I won't defend him throughout the movie, but in this part. And so I don't have children. I think you both have children.
Yes.
Right? You're on a safari, and the most mangly looking, crazy looking lion is staring at your son. Do you think you would fire?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But as a parent, I wouldn't have brought my child on a hunting safari
and left him alone.
I wouldn't have said, "Let's go hunting" as a bonding activity after your other parent has died.
Let's go play Yahtzee and everything or some shit. Like I don't need to hunt.
Okay, I agree with that. That is nuts.
Instead.
That is definitely crazy levels of whatever. But I will say, in his defense, if someone was looking at my son like that, and I'm childless, but if I was looking looking at my son, I would definitely shoot that thing.
For sure. And it was a double bonus for that dad. He was getting the legend lion and saving his son.
Yeah.
Yes. So while they're doing that, Crypto, her and her parents are taking pictures of animals in Africa, right? And she hears all this, or she like gets the sense that something's going on because she's looking at the tarot card, and she gets out of the Jeep, which I'm all like, this movie is just full of neglectful parents, like left and right. I'm just like, this is insane.
All the best superheroes have neglectful parents.
Exactly. Say, that is a Marvel staple.
Which I'm just like, you guys, what's going on here? You can't.
If Aunt May was doing her job, there would be no Spider-Man.
Exactly. So she comes across the Tsar and this dead Sergei, right? And she uses her potion on him, right? Because she still has it, and then she also gives it. She puts the tarot card in his pocket.
But it does something extra special to him because the lion's blood drips down into his wound. So it's different than what it would have done to just a regular person.
I mean, we assume, but like,
do we know?
Yeah, I mean, we never get answers.
I think we do though, because I think she has taken it, and she doesn't have all of his crazy abilities as an adult. Later in the movie, when we see all of the things she can do,
and it is true, they did focus on the blood dripping into his wound, and so it is possible that's why he got an added animal.
Yeah, I think that's why he got that animal instinct boost. I think it was just supposed to do the strength and the more
reflexes
alertness.
Or whatever.
And the
clearly Calypso has later on in the film.
Right. So I think it did give him a little extra something, and the connection he has with the wildlife.
It cranked him to 11, gave him that little,
right? Gave him a little extra
lion's blood.
Yeah, exactly. So then he dies at the hospital for a little over 3 minutes, and then he's brought back to life because magic. And so the doctor's all like, he's like, "What happened to me?" She's like, "That's exactly what I would like to know." And then the dad comes in. He's like,
German all of a sudden, hey.
And that wasn't German. I'm trying my best here. Okay.
No, this movie is very international, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck off, okay, with your big ass glasses. Okay, so then he's all like, "I'm taking my son with me," and she's all like, "Okay, whatever." So then he goes back home, and he ends up running away because he's all like, "Dad is a psychopath and everything." And he's
wait. I just want to rewind real quick because there's a moment that this is where I had to disconnect with the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a part where the father calls him down. He's like, "Son," and all this stuff. And he's like, "I'm sorry you were hospitalized by this horrible creature, but I took care of it." And he shows its head on the wall.
Right. Yeah.
He's looking at it. And then he goes, "I wish it had killed you."
Right.
Runs off. And I was thinking, I was like, your father got revenge for you. What is the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
Did anyone think that was weird?
I just know he's a teenage boy who thought he was handling it, and dad interfered, so he got all pissy.
Okay. At that point, I just thought he was like a spoiled piece of garbage, and I was like, your father...
I'm pretty sure those two boys are spoiled asshats, too. For sure.
Yeah, because then he runs away to that like sanctuary preserve or whatever that his mother owned, and I'm all like, who's got money? Of course they're pampered because they've got this like this big thing of land and everything. I'm all like, fuck you, dude.
Well, you know what it is? It's like, what do they call those guys in Russia who help control the government but are also rich guys?
Oligarchs.
Oh, oligarchs. His father was clearly like an oligarch.
Oh, for sure.
They have money beyond any rich person. Like, it's crazy how rich these guys
are. That's such a dumb name, oligarch. Okay. So,
and I kind of wish that they showed more of the mother. The mother is mentioned here and there, and we even see a flashback at one point. But I just wish there was more mother in the film.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I'm just all like, what's going on with her? What's happening there? But at the same time, you're all like, you know what? We don't get enough, so I can't worry about that stuff. Because then we fast forward to, what is it, 16 years later, 15 years later, whatever. Yeah. And they're all grows up and everything. And Kraven is now this.
Thank God for him being hot as an adult. That's
he is.
The eye candy in this movie is what helps get you through it.
This is so funny. I was wondering if this is why women like this movie, because obviously what's his face is like when he takes off his shirt, he's beyond jacked.
Oh
right?
Yeah, he's so hot.
He's got the nice V curve. He's got the 8-pack.
Right.
I mean, he looks like he's oiled up every second of this movie.
And his face is hot.
Oh,
And not only that,
little.
he's doing the rugged life, right? He's catching fish with his hands and then cooking it right there.
Oh yeah, I fuck him.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, I was like, here's what I said. I understand hot men. You know what I'm saying? Like I totally totally dig it. But I wonder if that's a booster for the women out there.
For women who don't know comic books, absolutely. For women who do know comic books, it helps you get through a movie like this.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he uses the line like "I live off the grid" and everything.
Oh, women love that stuff.
Yeah,
love
like
those.
you do. Okay.
And he's got money.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. And where do I sign up?
Yeah, when he gets those yellow honey eyes, you're all like, "And I'm wet." Okay.
If you guys have you guys know Donald Glover. Yes. You know, his stand-up, he did a stand-up where he's like, all these women want an unrealistic Sex and the City guy. And a Sex and the City guy is a rugged guy who lives off the grid and makes his own furniture, but makes $200,000 a year.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he says that, and I'm like, dude, you're chiseled too. So, I mean,
Donald Glover is chiseled. No.
Is he chiseled? Like,
no.
When he was in Magic Mike, he had the whole 6-pack thing going on too.
I don't think you're talking about the same person.
Yeah, I'm talking about the guy from Atlanta. You know, the rapper.
Yeah, Childish Gambino. The rapper.
Was he in Magic Mike?
Yes.
I have to look it up.
I didn't know that.
To look it up because I don't believe you.
I'm almost sure he was.
Don't worry. I'm gonna look it up and we will find out.
Wasn't he in The Martian too?
He was in The Martian.
Yeah.
Okay, he is in Magic Mike XXL, and he is got a pretty nice body. Okay, but he's not. You made it sound like he was like jacked like the rest of them. He is not. But
he's not Magic Mike.
If I remember correctly, he's like the announcer guy or something that welcomes the strippers on.
Okay, he's not a 6-pack grinding.
Well, he still looked really damn good.
Okay, so we'll do Magic Mike next time. Okay, so
have you guys done Magic Mike?
We have not. We have done any of the Magic Mike movies.
Don't worry, when we do, we'll invite you back.
Please do.
So then that's when he gets the call from his brother to come to London, for his birthday, right? And then we get this montage, this like little thing where one thing I forgot to mention. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. Back at the safari. The dad, what is his name? What's the dad's name? Shoot, I keep calling.
I think it's Nikolai. I think it's
Nikolai. Yeah, Russell Crowe. He gets approached by this other guy, Alexi. Yeah, and Alexi. I want to just say right now, I laughed so hard at Alexi's hair because it's just this like broomstick, it's like to one side kind of thing. It's so ridiculous.
Looks like a toupee, but it's not.
It was ridiculous, and I'm just all like, this is bad, but at the same time, loving it. He's like, and he goes up to him, and he's got like this like kind of like walks weird, and he's like, I think that we should join forces, and he's all like, why would I join forces with you? You are weak, and I'm like, man, you in this weak bullshit. Okay?
Yeah, he calls everyone weak. It's so annoying. It's very annoying.
Yeah, it's like, I'm surprised your wife even got your attention because she was probably just so frail and everything. You're just all like, I will dominate her. Anyways, so, and he buffs him off, and that guy holds a grudge because he's now become this huge crime boss, right? And when he finds out that the dude in the prison died, he's all like, all right, I need his lands and everything and his part of the organization. So he brings in his top 3 guys, right? And he's all like, I'm the Rhino and everything. He's like, I'm only gonna have one of you be my dude, be like control all of Gun Guy's land. I don't remember the Gun Guy's name, so don't get on my case. And he's like, pitch me why you should be the guy, right? And the bald guy shoots him, and then he gets up and he's like, I've got crusty skin, can't kill me, and everything. And so then he's all like. You want to know why I'm called the Rhino? Something like I you see my enemy and I go straight for it, or some crap like that. He like takes his moment. Right. All right. So the middle guy, he ends up killing the bald guy because the other guy gets shot by a sniper or whatnot. Okay, so then that guy goes to the bar that Dimitri owns or whatnot, and
Well,
he's on.
it's
Before we
like
exit that
Nikolai's,
scene,
you know, like the Italians will have a restaurant or a bar in all
Yeah.
mafia movies. This is
But-
like
but-
Nikolai's club.
But
Right.
before we exit that scene, I think we do need to like kind of talk about
The
what is
rivals.
going on with Rhino, right?
Yeah.
And so he
Yes.
has some unknown medical problem where he grows thick dermal hide unless he's treated.
I thought it was just because he like didn't have that until he went and seen that doctor.
He saw the doctor in New York that was making people like 100 times stronger, and
Right, he's giving them powers.
That whole being called weak by Nikolai has stuck with him. So, because he's like, I'm more than just
It's
you know
for sure
straight.
stuck
I'm
with
not
him.
weak.
And so and we know that the doctor will later on be called in. People will talk, you know, we'll see the doctor is a source of various superhumans, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is I just kind of wish they went into who or what the doctor is and what is that? What is going on?
They had such an opportunity to, you know, because the Rhino isn't the only one that this doctor has created. We see that and we know that, I mean, from the comic books and everything. But I'm like, I won't lie. I wish the doctor had a bigger part in this.
I agree, and I kind of wish he was someone like Dr. Octopus or something like that, you know.
Right. Or at least at the end when Dimitri or the chameleon becomes the chameleon, I wish we would have at least gotten to see that when he makes that decision to go to the doctor.
That would have been a better end scene of instead of that scene. A closing scene would have been better if he had, you know, Dimitri ended up going to this doctor, and we find out it's like a well-known comic person like Dr. Octopus and villain,
or the Tinker. I thought the Tinker would have been fun because he builds a lot of suits in the comic books, but it would have been like, yeah, I'm dabbling in some biology, you know, I like to tinker around with some different things. Okay,
I'm making myself some, you know, meta-humans here.
Exactly. So then that he sends that like general guy to the restaurant, okay, and he is meeting with Nikolai to my camera looks weird. What is that? Okay. So he is meeting with him because he's all like, your boss is dead now. You come under me. I will give you protection and everything. And the guy's all like, I'm sold, Nikolai. And he's like, you took it too fast, the deal too fast. You've already gotten, you know, somebody and everything. And then they just start lighting up the whole restaurant. He's like,
that lady totally fucks up her Louis Vuitton.
Exactly. I know, right? I'm all like, honey, like, don't ruin your bag for this. She probably owed money. That's why she did it. She's probably all like, if I don't get rid of this bag, I'm going to owe more than just this money and everything. So, and I love how Dimitri, like, he is kind of pussy. He just falls underneath the piano, and he's all like, just sitting there, all like, oh god, with his coiffed hair and shit.
How do you have a father who's a gangster and a big giant Russian, you know, drug lord, and you don't even carry a gun?
Oh, okay. So here's the deal. Do you guys watch Succession, or did you when it was on?
I've seen it. I haven't.
So one of the things that he, you know, is the problem. It's based off of King Lear, and you know, it's like this father who is this like incredible juggernaut of he's like a shark of capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. And all of his children are spoiled to the core. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, when you find out his origin, like he came over here from a raft. Like he was from a boat that sank that was coming from Scotland, and he came over here on a raft, and he was an orphanage, and he worked for every dime he ever earned, and now he's a billionaire. And his children, he gives them the lap of luxury, and he's disgusted by them. And he basically says, when, you know, we work so hard to make it, but if your kids don't struggle, they're going to be spoiled and lazy.
Right.
Is the theme. And I think that's true about everyone. Like look at the children of celebrities, right?
But being spoiled and lazy doesn't have anything to do with him carrying a gun to protect himself. If my dad's a drug lord, I'm at least carrying a gun because at some point in my life, someone's going to try to kill me.
I think Dimitri is too comfortable with life. I think he's just been handed everything. And so
that fucker's just sitting there singing like freaking, you know, Sinatra and shit. What was the
Tony Bennett?
Tony's like, if you don't like Tony Bennett, I don't trust you. And I'm all like, well, I'm not a huge fan. So
right. Tony Bennett. Who can name a apparently Vetta can name a Tony Bennett song, but
no. I just remember because he said he plays this for me because I love Tony Bennett.
But I
just remember that.
I hear what you're saying. I just think that the children of crime lords, just like Sopranos or something like that, they're all gonna be weak because they live in laps of luxury, right?
I guess I just am all about at least protect yourself. A piano bench is only going to protect you so much.
For sure. So after he's done singing John Legend, the bar gets shot up to hell and everything. And then he's all like, and then Nikolai is pissed at Dimitri because he's like, my pussy son can't even protect me when I'm under fire. And I'm all like, yeah, you should read him the riot act and everything. So the bar gets shot up and everything because he's all like, they ruined my bar and everything. And so then after that whole thing happens, then Sergey, he comes to London and he is there to celebrate Dimitri's birthday. And he puts on a suit, they go to his bar, which I'm all like, how is this your birthday? Like, if I'm gonna have if I owned a place, I wouldn't go there for my birthday. I'd want to hang out somewhere else.
Well, he probably doesn't have friends. He's probably an incel.
That's true. He does not have friends and everything.
But when he enters, there's the whole perfume thing, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. He passes a couple, and the woman he's like, that's a nice perfume, and she's like, I'm not wearing perfume, and he just like looks at the boyfriend / husband. He's like, I love how he's like, no, and he's like,
the guy's like,
no, and she's like, she would have found out sooner or later. I'm like, hey fucker, bro code. Maybe she should find out later, okay?
It's not your story to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I would have been like, oh, my mistake, and just moved on. But he had to player hate on this guy.
Exactly.
Because for all we know, maybe he had a good reason to cheat on his girlfriend.
Exactly, and you don't know that he cheated, although he probably cheated because
they could have had an open relationship. That's a trendy thing.
They did not because she smacked him.
Oh yeah, she gets pissed. They did.
It's just yeah. So okay, so then they have dinner, and the dad shows up and brings him a bottle of probably vodka because Russians and everything, and then they're sitting there and he's talking about the taking over the business, all that nonsense and everything.
Yeah, so the dad's not giving up on that dream.
Yeah, exactly. So then Dimitri, he gets super drunk, right? And Sergey takes him back to his apartment and puts him in bed, and then he can't sleep on the couch because the pipes are just bothering him. He keeps hearing his mother scream his name and everything, and I'm all like, oh, get the fuck
he's an animal man. He's an animal.
So he
gotta be one
exactly
with nature.
Exactly. So he takes off his shoes and goes and lays outside in the park and just sleeps there. And the next morning, he comes up to the apartment and he finds that Dimitri has been kidnapped. Dun dun dun! And I love how he looks.
He's missed it by seconds. When he was coming up the elevator, they were going down.
Exactly, because I love how he like looks out the window. And why did they close in on the cigarette that the kidnapper, the head kidnapper guy was?
Because he wanted to be able to track them.
But how would you track it just by looking at the cigarette?
Later, this is how it comes. I thought about this too. So later on, the way he knows the guy is Turkish is because he was smoking a Turkish brand of cigarette.
Well, yeah, I mean, like my whole thing was just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into it much because I was all like, how are you tracking them by just looking at a cigarette? I can't do that. Like, stop it.
I don't think that he was. I think it was more of he's seen where it was dropped and he went past it. He was planning on going and like sniffing it. I don't know.
Because here's what it is. Later on, when he sees Calypso, when he sees Calypso, he tells her he's like, he has brown hair, he had a scar under his eye, and I think it was Turkish. He was smoking Turkish cigarettes.
Yeah,
and so that's what he says. But before that, there's that weird, awkward elevator scene.
Oh, with the knife to open it.
Hold the door, and he throws the knife to hold the door. But here's what I think is weird: is when he's in there, the guy's like, "What do you do for a living?" And he goes, "I am a hunter of men." Is this what this guy does? He goes around telling people that his job is to hunt men.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, but you
that is always a shitty thing when you go to get on an elevator
exactly.
and you're like,
I was gonna
hold
say
it, and somebody doesn't. I'm
yeah, the
like,
best is
oh.
yeah, the best is when you get there and you like stop it and they're just like upset that you got in the elevator. You're like, I caught it. You didn't want me to catch it, but I caught it. Okay. So then he almost like he just starts jumping down this side of this
He
building
destroys
like
that building.
Oh, for sure. And the thing that gets me is like he's just jumping on glass left and right. And it's just like he's like, whatever, glass and everything.
I will
And
say what I do is I like the parkour scenes. I think they're done well, and it shows that his powers are like good. He has good powers. The fact that he could get down, it was like 20 stories. The fact that he could get down there, lickety split, is like that's a useful power.
Absolutely.
Well, and because of the way his powers work, which I really feel like he should have been introduced in other Marvel movies. Like he totally should have showed up in a Spider-Man, because that is
right on,
how he's brought into the Marvel world. But that also explains like why he kind of moves similar to Spider-Man, up and down buildings, parkouring and climbing, because that's considered his biggest trophy, would be to capture and kill Spider-Man.
Well, right. I think that their plan was that any sequels, I think they were trying to introduce a bunch of villains and then have the Sinister Six go against Spider-Man. I think that's
but I think that's the wrong way to do it.
I agree.
It's the wrong way to do it. Yeah. But it's Sony. But I just want to say right now, Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther, originally wanted Kraven the Hunter to be in that movie, and he wanted
number two, right?
No, in the first one, and he wanted to have like this commentary on how poachers. On poachers and stuff, but Marvel was all like, we're not gonna make our $1 billion movie, we're gonna share that with Sony. Get the fuck out of here with that noise. So they were like,
that would have been brilliant to do, because that would have been the early introduction, to take a good movie and give a sub character an introduction. So when you later bring out his movie,
it would have been a good idea.
In terms of like the money, it comes down to this, that like Marvel accidentally shot themselves in the foot. So in the late 90s, going into 2000s, Marvel was like, they were going to go bankrupt, and they needed, had their property. The only thing they had their properties. And so they were selling the live action rights to movies, people, right? So they did that with the X-Men. They did that with Ghost Rider.
That's why you have so many different studios all making Marvel, because
however,
owns a piece.
When they went to Sony has a rule that says they have to own at least 5% of a character before they put it on their screen. They don't take licensing like that. And so literally they negotiated a thing where Sony literally bought the 5% of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think they even have a thing where, like, if they want to change anything about Spider-Man, they have to get permission from Sony.
Check with them. That's how powerful the deal is.
And that's why when they were redoing their deal back in 2019, I can't remember, don't quote me on that, there was like this huge thing because they were gonna have like Norman Osborn come into the MCU, and they had to change that whole thing because there was like this huge problem.
They had to do the renegotiation when Marvel was finally 100% Disney's, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. But like ultimately, out of all the companies, Sony got the best deal. They paid the most money, but they have gotten the best payout of Spider-Man because they own all of Spider-Man. I
don't understand why they wouldn't push to get their characters in more shit.
Because here's what it is: if Marvel makes a movie that has, say, Kraven the Hunter, a Spider-Man character, they then have to split everything with Sony. And so that's why they're
just turned into a money grab. It's not to stay true to the character.
It's horrible. And like for instance, like I don't know if you guys are watching Daredevil. That's what a common thing people always say. Why doesn't Spider-Man ever get mentioned? For instance, in Thunderbolts or in Daredevil, it's because they do not want to pay Sony.
And that just makes me so mad, because it shouldn't be about the money. It should be about staying true to the characters. And I don't know how more Marvel fans aren't more upset about that crap.
I mean, they are, but what are they going to do?
But they're still paying.
Right, we have to take whatever they give us, basically.
Okay, so like we were doing the car chasing scene, right? So he's trying to hunt, trying to chase down, and I love how Dimitri's all like in the background being a total pussy, like true to form. He's like, we can work this thing out, guys. Meanwhile, his brother's just like frog hopping upstairs and shit, and like running past. I love how he's running past that like hallway of people, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of the way!" And everybody's just like, "Whoa," and everything. I'm like, yeah, this fucker's climbing on like banisters and shit, and you people are just like, "What's going on here?"
I love that, like, they won't get out of the way, so he jumps out the window and he's
exactly.
like hopscotching like that. I mean, it was very cool to watch him move like that. Another thing that was cool is like when he's hanging onto the car.
Yes.
The way he hangs onto a car, it's totally animalistic, but it's really cool.
Yeah. This whole scene, even when they finally get through the city and to the helicopter, like, again, this goes back to that beginning scene. This is just done really well. And the action pack of it where you're like, can I get some more of this, please?
Which I'm all like, the whole time I'm all like, man, Spider-Man would be so much fun in this scene. Just having like, he's all running through the city and Spider-Man like, oh, fuck, I got to get away from this guy. He's like, he's coming after me.
It's true that if they actually allowed this Kraven to fight Spider-Man, that would be a really good fight. That would be really good.
Or even if they just accidentally bumped into each other and Kraven was like torn on like he's seen Spider-Man sitting on the corner of a building and he's like, that torn on, there's my greatest prey, yet my brother. What do I do? That would have been even just that little glimpse.
Right on. So and you mentioned the helicopter. So they get to this helicopter pad, which I was just all like, is he gonna? Yes, he is. So I love how he's like stopping this helicopter from going off because he throws a net on it or whatnot. And I loved how he jumps, like the guy's like shooting at him with the gun, and he
Aquamans the shit out of him with his spear.
Yeah. So Aquaman's better than him. I love how he throws the spear or whatever, and I love how he's like going through the water, and he's like underneath the water. I'm like, wrap that little net thing around one of those little poles that's coming out of the water, but he didn't do that. He just he got hit by a buoy. Which when that happened, I told my wife, I was like, that looked like it hurt. And she's like, yeah, I bet it did. And everything. I'm like, yeah. And then he loses.
Aquaman wouldn't have gotten hit by that buoy.
Exactly. Aquaman would have saved Dimitri. Yep. Let's just say that. Okay?
This movie would have been over right here.
Yeah, exactly. So
I will say A for effort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He put in a lot of work.
Oh, this was a beautiful scene. I loved it.
Yeah. So, okay, real quick. One thing I forgot to also mention is Calypso. So he has found Calypso because she was, she's working for a law firm, and one of the other lawyers was killed from that guy in prison because she was like at the beginning. And so he went to Calypso and he's all like, here's your tarot card back and everything. And then so now that he has lost Dimitri, he goes back to her office to talk to her. And I love how he's all wet and he's shoeless and he's like walking up the stairs.
Because her law firm represents some of these nasty, kingpins of the world.
Yeah. Speaking of, he could have been in this movie. That'd been fun. Anyways, so I love the guards all like, hey, you forgot your shoes in the lobby. And he pulls out a taser and he's like, there's not enough volts in there to take me down or some crap like that. I was like, that's good. And then I love how Calypso shows up. She's like, it's okay, John. He's my 5 o'clock. I forgot to mention it and everything. And then she's like, what are you doing? She's like, fucker, this is my job. You can't just be showing up shoeless, all wet and everything.
And so just imagine if you had like one of your good friends was a superhero, but you're a normal person and your friend is showing up with cuts and bruises, soaked, shoeless at your job. I would be pissed too.
Exactly. Because I'm the whole time I'm like, yo, she's still got to eat, fucker. She can't be making elixirs for everybody. You need to calm down. Right. So then he asks her to hunt, find out who the guy is, like you said, and he's got a
and
scar.
And that's when he says the Turkish cigarettes thing, and that's
exactly
that's where that comes back. I agree that it was a long gap between him looking at the cigarette and it coming to play, but that's where the line is that he says he smokes Turkish cigarettes.
Right on. So now while all this is going on, the Alexei guy, right? He finds out that Kraven is the hunter. That Sergey is the hunter. Yeah, because he gets sent a video, which we find out later on who sent the video. And so he gets a video. They find out it's him, and he was the original one they were going after to kidnap. They just happened to get Dmitri, right? And Nikolai, he's not paying the ransom. He's like, fuck that. He is weak.
They only want 20 million. I feel like they would have asked for
only
a lot more.
20 million is a lot of money.
20 million is a ton. You know?
Yeah,
it is a ton of money, but this
20,000
guy
is a lot.
World drug lord. Not just an American drug lord or a Russian drug lord. He is a world
he's a, what do we call them? Oligarch. So
oligarch.
I feel like that 20 million. I agree with Nikolai. It had nothing to do with the money. This is a power play.
However, you guys are both parents. Would you not pay the ransom on?
I would have paid the money in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. I'd have been like, we don't live in one of those one of the countries, but there are many countries that have kidnapping insurance where you can take out insurance on your family, and if someone's kidnapped,
a lot of Central America and South America like that. They
will pay the ransom to get your family member back.
Yeah, so it's messed up.
Right on. So Alexei, he has also hired this assassin named the Foreigner. Now I had to look the Foreigner up because I was like, too. Is this a comic book character? It is, but I'm like, I never read a comic book.
I've never.
It's so far down the alphabet.
He's obscure.
You can't even say he's a C.
It's so random. It's so rare that I have to look up something about comic book. Yeah. And I didn't know the Foreigner either. And here's what it is. They say the Foreigner, and it went right over my head. And I thought that was an implication to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I saw his powers, I was like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly. Because his powers are he just takes his sunglasses off and looks at you, and then you get mesmerized for 3 seconds. And I'm all like, which his countdown was so annoying. He's like, 1, 3, 2, 1, and I'm all like, and then everybody's all like, where'd he go? And I've been like, I would have just started running.
And
I'd
he's
be like,
always behind him.
Exactly.
He is always behind them.
Yeah. So he sent him after him, and he's because he killed his mentor and everything. I'm like, oh, get the hell out of here. Your mentor and everything. So then Alexei,
wait, hold on, real quick. Was his mentor, because he tells it, but was his mentor the original criminal in the jail?
I don't think so. But if we're being honest, I don't know.
Because he says his mentor was an assassin as well.
See, this is another thing that I just think is flawed writing. They should at least have it all connect.
Absolutely.
Whoever's mentor is should have died on screen for us.
Or he should have at least said his name. He shouldn't have said he killed my mentor. He should have said he killed
just
Bob.
Be random. And when he said that, I was like, was it the guy in the beginning? That was my question. So.
Yeah, I don't know, and I did not look it up. So we're just gonna be like,
the Foreigner sucks. No one knows the Foreigner.
Exactly. The Foreigner sucks. I didn't even like him in this movie.
Marvel.
Yeah, I didn't even like him in this movie. I'm all like, it's fine, but you made your money. I get it. Okay. So he finds out who it is, and the Alexei has set up a trap for Kraven in this little house that's this mansion that's up in the Alps or something.
Turkish monastery.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes in there, and again, also this fight was totally good. He's running along the walls like Spider-Man, and he's killing all these little dudes. Meanwhile, off in the distance, there is a rocket launcher man and a sniper, and he's there and everything, and he holds the little dude out the window, and he's like, where is Dmitri? And he's like, if you drop me, you'll never find out. And I'm all like, I think he's gonna find out. Okay, he could drop you and everything. But while he's doing that, he I don't know, smells something in the wind or whatever, and he looks up and he does his little, binocular eyes, and he sees the rocket launcher right as he rocket launches. And he's like, all right, fuck this. I'm riding you like a surfboard down to the bottom of this. And he just jumps and everything.
It was just fun. It was cute scene.
Yeah. And he falls, and they land, and the guy's all like, he's all like, the rhino says hello or something like that. I can't remember what he says after he's dying and everything. Or the rhino has killed us all both or something like that. I can't remember.
Right.
And then the monastery just falls on him. Now, I just want to tell you right now, I believe that he would have died from that, because it was like it was like a whole side of that building, and I'm all like, that was a lot to take in the back. And
I admit I would have rathered him use his his animal running on all fours ability
Yeah.
to just run away.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Rather
like,
than what they have him do is he
the
just kind of
guy
bundles up.
is dumb.
Yeah, he bundles up, and I'm like, those giant boulders would crush you, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like the when that happened, I was like, this movie should be done now. I'm a little annoyed at this point in time.
And you know what else like kind of like was like, jaded about was when he enters the monastery, he does this Splinter Cell thing where he's like hiding behind people's like blind spots.
Oh, right on. Yeah,
in the middle of the day, it's just like, and it was too easy. It was like too easy for him to like.
Right on. Yeah. So
which made no sense because they're expecting him, so they would have been on high alert. And and I go, the boulder thing falling, I'm like, he stands behind the guy and it's like, when the guy's like, we have killed Kraven, he's like, no you didn't. And I'm like, there isn't even dirt on him from those boulders landing on him. There's no soot, there's nothing in his hair. I'm like, could we at least have made this look like, 2
at least he'd be buried and he has to dig his way out.
Yeah.
A better way to do that. Yeah.
So then fast forward a little bit. The foreigner has able to realize, because Kraven used a dart with some kind of raspberry as the venom or whatnot.
The roseberry.
Yeah. So then he's like, this is only located in one part of Russia. And I was like, oh, you done fucked yourself, Kraven. So they end up tracking down Kraven to this sanctuary that his mother owned or whatnot, where he has taken Calypso to his fuck pad. And so because he's all like, I need you to tell me how to make more of this or whatever. And she's all like, oh, it's been passed down, but my grandmother never told me. Liar. A typical woman. Anyways.
Oh, you think she's lying?
Yeah, she was lying.
Big ass vial.
Yeah, because she has more of it later on.
She gives him more of it later.
Yeah,
I didn't make that
when the foreigner gives him the darts, like shoots him with the darts, she drops some, and that is a big ass fucking.
Is that the same? Here's what it is. I didn't realize that was the same thing.
Yep, it's the same thing.
Oh, I thought it was different. Okay.
Yeah. So then they track him down, and they're all like, all right, we're gonna kill this guy, right? And everything. What's his face? The Rhino, he sends in all his dudes, right? And he's all like, whoever gets him gets a promotion or whatever. And he just goes.
He's just handing out promotions, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
He tries to be partners, so he keeps offering partnerships with everyone. He is a thirsty dude.
Which, meanwhile, his secondhand man is like in a tracksuit the whole movie. I'm all like, you could dress up a little bit more for work, my dude. But
more Russian stereotypes. They wear
exactly. but he does get the job done. So I'm all like, well, I guess it doesn't matter what you wear to work because you're getting it done and everything. So he sends in all these mercs, right? And he is just handing them their dicks left and right. Like, he is just cutting off body parts, cutting them in half, all this good stuff. It was delightful. I had a good time.
I love this again.
I want to call like, here's what it is. I do think that great scenes. I love them. One thing that I have, and this is going to sound like a weird nitpick. What they really did is a montage of him murdering people.
Yep.
And he didn't actually see them fighting. You just see him stabbing, cutting people's throats. And I was like, damn, this is really easy for him.
Right on.
He's just going around murdering
which
is fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch murder, but
my favorite part of this whole scene is in the end when it's all done and Tracksuit Guy finds Dimitri and is just like, this is just not good for you, is it? This just isn't working out for you, is it, buddy?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So then while he's doing that, the foreigner hits him with those darts, right? With the raspberry venom. And so then Kraven, he starts seeing his fear, what is his fear?
Spiders.
Like, I'm all like, oh my God, how dumb is this? And everything.
Because obviously they're setting up for his hatred of spiders for a future fight with Spider-Man.
Which, I mean, like, that's
clearly
fine.
Like what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Which again is fine, but I'm just all like, this is ridiculous.
I hate when they set up for things when there isn't going to be a second one because this wasn't good enough. Don't do the setup. Just make that movie.
But also, it was what it was as they call heavy hand. It was a heavy-handed reference to something, right? So here's the thing that got me. They then flash back to his mother. before, and like they never talk about the mother, and suddenly the mom's back in there, and she, before she died, had hallucinations of spiders.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I'm all like, oh,
what are they saying there? Are they saying the foreigner killed her? What is?
I don't know. That part confused me all the time. Like whenever she showed
there
up,
are so many questions that this movie brings out.
That's what it is. I don't like all the questions. I wish they had time to flush out certain things.
Right.
You know, here's what it is. I will say I like the special effects, and I like the idea of like he sees the spiders coming down, and that would have scared me too.
Yeah.
If you're surrounded by these spiders coming in.
Yeah. The spiders don't scare me if there's like one, but when they're like coming down.
But when it's arachnophobia, the
and also
movie
the size of them,
I'm
the
scared.
size and exactly. There were ones as big as his chest that would have terrified.
Yeah. So then, but he ends up defeating the foreigner because he has to. He can't die from the foreigner and everything.
I think a lady comes and
saved by.
Joe comes in with her amazing archery skills that she learned at camp.
I do love that he says that was some camp you went to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is true.
She shoots him dead in the eye with like perfect aim. She's better than Hawkeye because Hawkeye can't hit anything. She hits him right in the eye with her bow and arrow.
Mantis, did you ever go to camp?
No, I never went to sleepaway camp.
His mom loved him.
Yeah, my mom loved me. She didn't love Vetta though. I went to camp. Anyway,
she loved me because she didn't want me to go to camp and be molested. She did love you because she sent you to camp. That's what she told me.
Fine.
That's
I'll be molested.
That's
fine. I can get molested.
She was
although I wasn't.
That's what would happen if we went to camp.
Yeah.
So,
but I was.
Here's what it is. I was a latchkey kid. I grew up like my babysitter was the television, so we didn't do things like camp or the circus or things normal families did. There wasn't any.
It's a bummer. I love the circus. Okay. So the foreigner's out, right? And then the rhino's all like, let it rain, and there's like explosions all over the place or whatever. So the rhino, he's got Dimitri still, because why not? And they've decided they're gonna leave. They're just like, let's just get out of here because this is fucking mental.
And I love how they're like, do you think your father will pay now because you're the only son he has? And I'm like, no, because he's the weak one.
Exactly, he's the weak one. So then Kraven uses his water buffaloes to surround. Which, by the way, also every time the water buffaloes came along, I kept singing, "Everybody's got a water buffalo. Yours is, but mine is."
I didn't know that water buffalo lived in Russia.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't.
No, that's not only that. I didn't think they lived near forests. I assumed they were on plains.
Oh yeah,
there is a question as to is this true where the animals live?
And Andy's got like a leopard he's been raising since.
We didn't talk about the leopard.
Yeah, the leopard.
The leopard.
Yeah, because he's all like, we're being hunted, and then the fucker just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, like they're playing some little fun.
Which they
King
don't
of the
explain.
Hill situation.
Yeah, they don't explain any of this, and it just happens, and you're just like, okay, fine, I'm here for
right.
it.
It's like they get really weird. They're like, oh, you won today. I'm off now.
Like if a squirrel would have showed up and just like hung out for a hot minute, I would have been on board for that. I was like, all right,
he's like, this is my squirrel. She's my maid. This is a raccoon. This is my chef.
Well,
the government's not killing that squirrel.
Comic books, doesn't Kraven at some point work with Squirrel Girl?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, she's been around. I don't know.
I just brought that up because you said
Squirrel Girl sucks. Anyways, okay, so we're moving.
Yeah, the whole leopard, him playing with the leopard. Yeah, there's a whole leopard pet romance.
There's
going
so
on.
much in this movie that you're just like, what's going? There's like a movie inside this movie. Okay,
like, do leopards live in the same place as water buffalo? There's so much that's so confusing. I don't understand.
It's a good question. It's a good. But I did question. I certainly questioned the water buffalo. I was like, how are they so close to a forest?
Yeah, exactly. So
I didn't know they lived in Russia.
Right on. So these water buffalo kind of surround their little, caravan or whatnot. And then Kraven shows up. So Rhino, he's all like, all right, I've gotta just become full Rhino. And he takes out his little, colostomy bag, right? And he starts getting the crusty skin and everything. And I'm just like, I'm like, you need a dermatologist, my dude. And so he turns into a literal rhino. Which
what I think is hysterical is that it's so far we've only seen him get the dermatological issues, right?
Yeah.
The thick skin. But I love when he lets the full transformation come, it grows literally two horns.
Two horns. Which which he's all like the pain and everything. And I think his assistant's like, why do you deal with the pain and everything? And I'm like, it hurts you? Like, what's going on? You're like, I'm like, I would be the Rhino all the time just with that.
Yes, I would just be Rhino.
I would assume eventually he would just become numb to it. I don't know.
So then we get the awesome fight, which I thought it was awesome. I don't know if you guys thought it was awesome.
Great,
I like the fight.
Love it.
Where they're throwing trucks at each other, and their dudes are flying all over the place because they're flying out of cars and stuff. Like his little
tracksuit boy goes flying out the window, and
he gets water buffaloed. He just gets straight up water buffaloed.
Tracksuit boy gets water buffaloed.
Exactly. Yeah, he gets water buffaloed. And then so Rhino and him, like they're like I said, they're throwing cars at each other and everything. And
wait, hold on. I will say this. Before I watched this, people online criticized the scene, and they were like, "Look at him." They only show you like stills, and they're like, "Look at Rhino. Look how pathetic this is. It's so stupid," or whatever. Having actually seen it, I actually did enjoy.
I agree.
Seeing Rhino and I think that's a fine adaptation of Rhino.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they expect? Did they think everything but his face was going to be Rhino? Like he was going to have a normal face like he had on a Halloween costume? Like,
right.
They did. He's literally
I was fine
Rhino.
with it.
I was fine with the way he looked.
And it's comic book accurate. Depending on which one, because it was better than the Paul Giamatti Rhino from
that was
Spider-Man
real stupid when he was
that was really stupid.
Idiot dude in a mech suit or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is also comic book accurate, but I still don't like it. That's I don't like it.
No,
but
I think
I did like
way
this one.
Better depiction for sure.
I also like when he's fighting Rhino, how he's like using Rhino as a pole to like swing around and shit. And I'm all like, this is very good. This is a good fight sequence. And people were like dissing on it, but I'm all like, listen, the movie may be not so good. In terms of like the story and all that stuff, but the fight sequences and all the parkour is very, very good. Like I
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I
pick on the open-ended questions and pick on the lack of connection of things, but the action sequences are really good.
Yeah, the action sequences are good. The fights are good. I'm down with that. I just think there could have been some better writing in between that. But remember, there's some Sony Marvel stuff that doesn't even have good action.
Yeah.
Right. And so think of Adam Web or something, right? So, there's almost no action. So
yeah, which I liked during this fight sequence when Kraven like he gets up and he like spits up blood and he's like, fuck, that hurt. All right, let's continue and everything. I'm like, yeah, I was like, you got to, dude.
And I actually do love here's what it is. I'm kind of a stickler of this. I hate it when like in an end battle, the hero just wins. Right? Yeah. I want there to be a reason why the hero win. And I liked in this that I even said to myself when he was choking him out, I was like, how is Kraven going to get out of this one? And then he saw the port for the colostomy bag.
Right, exactly. And he's like,
I loved that he used that as the one.
Yeah, because he's like, what did he say? He's like, you're no matter what you do, you're still weak or something like that. And I was like, yeah, fucker, you're still weak. Because you can tell that hurt his feelings.
He alludes to that like early on when what's her face, kaleidoscope, whatever.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah. When she says a tiger's tooth and he goes, I like to use what I have available. And I was like, oh, he showed that here because he did like, in a regular action movie, someone sticks their finger in a bullet hole. He said, oh, he's got something a little better. Let's give this a go.
Yeah.
I like that he sticks it in and he twists it and he's like, and it's making him bleed out. I was like, oh, that was awesome. Like one weak spot.
Yeah, right on. So he stabs him right in his special hole, and and so he immediately starts bleeding because he's got internal bleeding or whatnot because that shit hurts, and he's bleeding and everything, and then he wraps the I don't know what it's called, but the little cord from the truck around his waist,
and then he throws it on the water buffalo.
Cable,
and he throws him in the water buffalo, and the water buffalo they just stampede his ass and everything.
Yeah, they drag him out. They stampede him. He's done. Dunzo.
Yeah, and everything. And he's just
not that tough now.
Exactly. So he's just laying there, and he said something like, he's like, how is the great hunter couldn't even see what was right in front of him, and he's alluding to the video that was sent to him, right? And which we find out later on was Nikolai sent it to.
Yep.
But the rhino, he dies and everything, or Dimitri comes up behind and he's like, no, that's what father would want. And I'm all like, well, yeah, but he's going to die anyway. So just, why don't you just shoot him and everything? It's fine. So then he goes. So after that's all done, he goes to see Nikolai, and he's all like,
so this is my question about this scene. Was Nikolai hiding because he knew all this was happening and that he sent the video, or was he legitimately just on a hunting trip?
The dad?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he was legitimately on a hunting trip.
Yeah, I think he's a douche like that.
Yeah. Because when Kraven shows up, he's not scared. Like he's not like.
But he does say, "How did you find me?"
Because he's the hunter. He's the hunter and everything. So he finds his dad, right? And he's in the middle of, wherever, Nebraska or some shit, wherever it's snowing and shit. And there's bears. And he, talks. I don't remember exactly what he says, so don't quote me on any of this. But he says something along the lines of, "You're a douche." And as he's walking away, he hears like this raw, and he's like the legend becomes the legend or something like that. I can't remember. Don't quote me. Don't get all.
He who kills the legend becomes the legend.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
And then he says something about fear because the dad says
fear of death, particularly.
Yes, you can't fear death, and he says something like, "Does the legend fear death now?" And as he's walking away, I'm like,
yeah, and then Yogi the bear comes out of fucking nowhere and just attack, and he's taking the ammunition to his shotgun.
That is the shaggiest looking bear I have ever seen.
That was a mess.
It was not a great CGI.
Are animals in Russia more like fucked up?
I don't know.
Because first they had a fucked up lion earlier, and now they had a fucked up bear in this scene.
Yeah, because that bear seriously was like shaggy, like it was made from shag carpet. I don't know. It had dreadlocks and everything. It was a messed up bear.
Yeah. But I do, it really is grimy that he stole his father's bullets. Like that's next level. Like that's first degree murder right there.
Yeah, well, and he calls it a hunting accident.
Yeah, it's a hunting accident. yeah.
So real quick, before we go any further, like, why does he hate his father so much?
My whole thing is just I'm assuming because of the mom.
Right, he abused the mom.
That's the only thing I can think of, because
I don't know if it's the same as in the comic books, but in the comic books, the father is very abusive to all of them, and the fact that Dimitri and Sergei have a great relationship, I'm not 100% if my memory is correct, but I also feel like Sergei was abusive to Dimitri, but I know the father was abusive to all of them. And they don't show much of that.
I just kind of wish they had shown in the movie a little more of that, because here's what it is. His father was definitely a dick, absolutely. Nikolai was definitely a dick, right? Mm-hmm. Was he murder your father level of a dick? I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. But we don't know what he did to the mom because they didn't tell us.
Because they didn't go into it.
Yeah. And they skipped around a lot.
Questions.
Yeah, so many questions. Okay, so then it fast forwards. I can't remember. It's like, what is it? Like a couple months or whatever?
Later.
Oh, yeah, a year. Okay. So then he goes to see Dimitri, who is still on his birthday, who's still singing John Legend in his crappy bar.
Yes, right.
And we find out that Dimitri, because this whole time he can change his voice, and that's why they call him the chameleon, because he can change his voice to sound like anybody. And he went and got the experimental treatment that the rhino got, except he is now the chameleon.
The doctors made some improvements since.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And he's able to change his face because he's also the chameleon is also from the comic books. And when he grabs him and he turns him around, and he's like a little mini me of Kraven, and he's like,
that's so funny.
That's so funny. That. So funny. He's like, if you could see your face now, and he's like, from down here. And
right. It's so funny that they happen to cast the guy who's short. And so, therefore, if he shape changes to anyone, he's the short version.
Exactly.
Like, I became the president. I'm just a short version of the president.
Yeah, that would be so great if Kraven, instead of like getting scared, he would just would have like knelt down and be like, "Well, look at you, cutie patootie,"
or something. He's like,
yeah,
"Oh,
exactly.
Patted him on the head.
Right. And as he's walking away, we get a glimpse of what the chameleon looks like in the comic books, which he looks very. I like that look.
Yeah.
I wish he would have been more like that through the entire movie. I was like, that was a way better look or whatever.
Dimitri's decided since he's the chameleon now, he's taking over his father's business.
Exactly. Now he's all of a sudden
Kraven.
Yeah. And so then that's pretty much the end of the movie, except for Dimitri sends him back to their childhood home, and because he's like, father left you a gift at home or whatever, and he goes back to home and go ahead, Mantis.
You tell it.
Okay.
And then I'll
so he walks in and he's made him a vest of the lion that he killed that gave him his powers.
Yep.
And it's the classic look that he has from the thing. And he sits down on his little Kraven throne and everything and looks at himself in the mirror.
Abs.
So hot. And then that's the end of the movie, right? And I'm all like, okay, so he should have had the vest the whole time because that was a good look.
Yes.
And he didn't. And then go ahead. You go ahead.
I will say this. I'm annoyed, and they do this in prequels all the time. They overly explain where people get things. Like, for instance, if you remember the Han Solo prequel for Star Wars, they try to explain where he gets his jacket and his blaster. And you know what? I don't need to hear it.
Yeah,
it's just a blaster and a jacket. This is just a vest. I don't need to watch a 2-hour movie to see that.
And when he took it, when he went in and his dad showed him the lion's head, he could have given him the vest then and was like, I made this from the rest of him for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And he could have thrown it in his backpack when he went to Siberia and Russia.
Then he could have worn it throughout the episode. Yes.
Right.
And that's the thing, like, if you see these superhero shows, an example I give, and like, I'm a huge Arrow fan, or at least the first 3 seasons.
I love Arrow.
And I will actually say that the best pilot of any superhero show is Arrow, because in one episode he gets a costume, a good explanation to what he's doing, a mission, and you see his skill set or powers, right?
You didn't have to watch a whole season to get that.
And Disney Plus is making all these episodes, these things where they're like, it takes an entire season before someone gets a costume or a name or something. That's so stupid.
Yeah, and they take like 40 minutes to explain their pen.
Hour and a half movie for him to look like his comic book character.
Right, he could have gotten that vest at any time, and so it was
anytime.
It was more prequel nonsense.
Yeah. So it was just not. It was it was bad. It was a bad choice and everything. Because once that happened, I'm like, well, let's start the real movie where he hunts down Spider-Man. Because in the comic books, that's his whole thing up in the comic books. He's hunted all the best game in the world. Now he wants to hunt down Spider-Man because that's the next biggest thing. And I'm all like, that's like way better. That's like way better.
And although I like this movie, I do think that they should have at some point spent some amount of time to explain why he would hunt a superhuman in New York City.
Exactly.
There should be some explanation to that, and that we're prepared for a sequel where he's going to go do it. But they should have set that up, and they didn't set that up.
No.
This Kraven doesn't seem like he would hunt a person.
No, he doesn't at all. He is 100% the vigilante hero.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He is not.
Yeah, he'd be on the Avengers.
He wouldn't be on the
Sinister Six.
Yeah. I didn't like that they did that. But okay, now so before we wrap this up and everything, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. Number 1. If you have any more thoughts on this movie that you wanted to explain, and 2, would you recommend? So we'll start with you, Mantis, since you're our guest. What would you have any final thoughts about this movie that we didn't get to that you want to talk about? And would you recommend?
So I don't want to. I'm probably going to come off as like a fool right now.
No,
but who sent the video?
It was Nikolai. Nikolai sent the video.
Nikolai sent the video. It wasn't Dimitri or anyone like that.
No, it was Nikolai.
Because it wasn't super obvious to me. Although at the end, I remember the villain says, it's obvious, it's in your face. And I was like, is it obvious?
Oh, no. Nikolai confirms it in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what it is. I recommend this to anyone who doesn't take things too serious or understands that this is just like an action movie. Like, for instance, if this was the 80s, this movie would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It would do freaking amazing because it's a you don't really have to think action movie. And I like those. So I would recommend.
Right on. All right, Vetta, would you recommend?
Oh, I would definitely recommend this. Take out the Marvel name, though, because if you go into it, if you're a true Marvel fan and you go into it, it's going to piss you off. But if you go into it just to watch it, it's got great action sequences. It's, just a good, no overthinking. Like, I mean, it does for the Marvel side of it, but if you take that out of it, it's a good movie. And who doesn't want to watch a movie where Aaron Taylor Johnson spends half of it without a shirt on? I mean,
right.
I don't know if this was CGI. And once again, this is coming from a heterosexual male, but he was ridiculously fit when his shirt came off.
Yeah.
That alone makes this movie recommendable.
Exactly. Aaron Taylor Johnson, or as I like to call him, Big Dick McGee. I don't know if you've ever seen. If you see A Million Little Pieces, trust me, you get full frontal. It's crazy. I'm all like,
do you really?
Yeah, yes. The man is blessed. Let me just tell you that. The Hunter is correct.
Right?
For pussy.
Yeah. Real quick, you know about his whole situation, right?
Yeah, where he's married to like a woman that's like 30 years older than him.
Yeah. She was a producer on things when he was like a kid star.
Yeah, she groomed him for sure. Yeah, his whole thing was like he's like I've got an old soul. She is old, so we're like perfect together. I'm like, oh fuck that noise. No one's got an old soul. Okay.
Oh please.
She groomed you.
She's like enjoying the bragging rights of being married to him, even if he steps out. She doesn't care because she's like, there were no prenups at that time. He makes more than me now. He ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Right on. Okay, so I just want to say that overall this movie, I did enjoy it because it was nonsense, but I loved all the nonsense. Like I was all like they every time a parkour scene showed up, I was excited about it. Like I was like, this is good. I was like, I can't deny that this part is good. The overall story sucked balls, but
the only thing I wish in the parkour is like when he parkoured up his brother's building, which is completely windows. I wish we would have got the inside view of another occupant's apartment, just seeing a guy just up the side of the building. I would love that.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I would recommend this movie because it was just a lot of fun. I mean, like it was stupid, but it was good fun. It was
good action if you're looking for action or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Madam Web where you're like, this is fucking nonsense and I'm not even having a good time. Yeah. This was like
I think one of the problems with superhero movies nowadays is I think people want them to be cerebral or dramatic events, and that's not what they're really there for.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
we're here to have an action.
Look at it as entertainment, 100% entertainment.
Entertainment. I don't need to think. And a lot of people are like, "Well, it didn't hit the dramatic, points I needed." I'm like, calm down, man.
This is symbology in it. And you're
like I said, this movie from the Marvel side frustrated the hell out of me. But once I let that go, I enjoyed it.
Right.
Yum. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there and everything. But before we go, Mantis, where can everybody find you at?
Oh my God. Yo, I'm having so much fun. You guys are amazing. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Voice of the Fat Mantis. You can find me on pretty much any social app at _fat_mantis. Or you can find me on Riz Radio. I do the weekends. I do a show called Burn Your Degree at 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the radio. That's right, digital radio, over on rizradio.com, or you can find us wherever digital radio is.
Right on. Yeah, and I'll leave all the links for that, you guys, in the description down below.
Also, wait, one thing. Remember, when you do a review of Magic Mike, you need to invite me on.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. But thank you so much, you guys, for listening to us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, dude, thanks for coming on, dude. We really appreciate it. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at BS Drunk Pod to stay updated. And if you also listen to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you guys, please leave us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it, and it helps us out immensely. We will also be posting the video version of this, like I said before, to our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to us there, and that is at BS Drunk Movie Reviews on YouTube. Also, you guys, we do have a Patreon if you guys are interested in that. And there are plenty of different levels to suit any of your needs and everything. And the link will also be in the description down below. But most importantly, you guys, please don't forget to drink, recap, review, and repeat. Bye, you guys. Bye.
Bye for now, guys. Bye.